All right, welcome back, guys. Jake Ellenbogen here. Joining me, as always, is Cameron Lynch. Special thanks, as always, to Bleach Report for having us. We are talking about NFL Super Bowl contenders or pretenders. We're going to go through each seed, all 14 playoff teams, and I'm going to give my thoughts. Cam is going to give his, and that's how we're going to do it. So, before we do that, just want to let you guys know if at any point you like what we have to say, you can follow us. You can follow me at JK Bogan. You can follow Cameron Lynch at Cameron Lynch 50 on all social media platforms. So, Cam, I'm excited to dive in.
Yes, sir. Me too, Jake. It's playoffs. That means anything can happen. I think that's really important, Jake. And I want to start the show off by saying this. Pack your defense and pack your special teams. Jake, we cover the Rams sometimes, and we know that the Rams special teams sometimes can be they stay back home in LA sometimes. So this game, when they play the Lions this week, they're gonna have to bring every facet of their team. But it's exciting, Jake. Anyone can make it at this point. So really excited to see what happens.
Absolutely. So we'll start off with the NFC here, starting with the 7th seed Green Bay Packers. Cam, contender or pretender?
So Jordan Love is super impressive. I'm sure you already know that. Just the fact that he's taken over the helm for Aaron Rodgers has been amazing. It's tough, Jake, right? He's a rookie quarterback. Going to the playoffs is going to be really tough for him, with that matchup for Jordan Love. So you playing the Cowboys, they're clicking on all cylinders. CeeDee Lamb, you have him, offensive player of the year. He's in that running a little bit. And so Dak Prescott throwing the football really well. I'm going to say in this instance, since they're playing the Cowboys, I'm going to say pretender. They barely snuck into the playoffs, Jake. They barely got there. And to be fair, Aaron Rodgers just left. So I'm going to say pretender for this one. I don't know if they'll get past the Cowboys, but next year I think they'll be a contender for sure.
Yeah, so it's interesting. I also say pretender, but Jordan Love might be the hottest quarterback in the league. I just think Joe Barry's defense, passing wise, giving up 300 plus yards to Bryce Young, that scares me. But I actually, Cam, I'm going to say this. I think they beat the Dallas Cowboys, but I still think they're pretenders though, because I think they'll beat the Cowboys, and then if they beat the Cowboys, guess who they're playing? The 49ers in the next round. So I don't know if they have enough firepower. I'll say this: the best chance they have to win this game to get to the Super Bowl is Aaron Jones. It's all, funneled through Aaron Jones. If they get him going, he stays healthy. He's had a hard time staying healthy this year. Then I won't rule the Packers out, but I'm going to say that the Packers are pretenders.
What about Jair Alexander talking about the pack is back, baby, during the interview? I thought that was really cool. I think he's slowly becoming a fan favorite. Just to see his personality, Jake, is starting to come out a little bit more. It kind of reminds me of the Tom Brady piece when he was at the Patriots, right? I think for Jair, at the beginning of his career, he was kind of like this, and I think now he's getting older, he's getting more mature. His personality shown is really cool to see.
No, absolutely. One of the best corners in the league, and he was suspended. So, keep that in mind. But they're going to need him.
He's bringing the juice stuff.
they're going to need him against Dallas. It's really that simple. Mm-hmm. So the next 7th seed also barely made the playoffs. They barely made it, but they made it. It is the Pittsburgh Steelers, coached by Mike T, aka Mike Tomlin. Likely Mason Rudolph is going to start. So the weakest quarterback in the playoffs, I think is fair to say, going up against one of the strongest quarterbacks in the playoffs, and Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills. That will be a snowy game. But regardless, Pittsburgh Steelers, contender or pretender?
Steelers, man, they're a pretender right now. Losing TJ Watt, that was absolutely brutal, right? You talk about like the worst thing that could happen in that week 18 game. Your starters are not playing, but you want to make the playoffs, and your premium player who, Myles Garrett or him being the defensive player of the year, we're not sure where that's going to go or what that looks like. But the fact that you losing out your best player, that's like, the Rams losing out on Aaron Donald. And it's like, are we going to win the Super Bowl now? So I'm going to say pretender. I know they're trying to figure out their quarterback situation with Mason Rudolph. So yeah, they're figuring it out. Tomlin made it back to the playoffs, Jake. I think we're seeing all these head coaches getting fired. The fact that he made the playoffs in like the 15th or 17th year in a row, like give the man his flowers. Like if there's coaches in the Hall of Fame, make sure he's in the Hall of Fame because it's very impressive. I think they're pretenders this year, though, Jake. He said we're not scared, and they're not scared of the Bills at all. But I think they're going to lose that one.
Yeah, I mean, if they were playing it against anybody else, I think I'd give them a shot in the cold and in the snow. But I don't know. That Bills team is surging at the right time. And without TJ Watt, I just can't feel confident in them winning that game. I also feel they're pretenders. Without TJ Watt, they're 100% pretenders. Without a quarterback, because I mean, we don't know. Like, Mason Rudolph is their quarterback now, but they could go back to Kenny Pickett. I mean, it's just like, we don't really know. Those are teams I stay away from because those teams normally don't do anything.
And they're clicking though, to be fair. They're clicking to be fair because remember that one, I think it was Pickens, he didn't block, I think, in that red zone play. And that was the whole thing that they weren't playing hard. And now they're playing hard, which is really cool. That means Mike Tomlin, he is that guy. He is him. So it's really cool to see them playing well. I just don't know if the team is necessarily bought in like they should be. So that's why they're pretenders to me too.
Yeah. And again, I mean, I like what they've done. I like that they got there. I just think this is not their year. I think a lot of Steelers fans were already preparing for the draft, to be honest with you, about 4 weeks ago. So they'll be happy to take this on and everything. But
they had a good draft last year too, so hopefully they find some good pieces in the draft as well. Because I mean, Jake, they had to change their whole offensive coordinator mid-season, so the fact that they made the playoffs is fabulous. But I don't think it's going to cut it. I don't think it's going to be enough.
No, I don't think so either. So I have pretenders as well. No, I don't think so.
No.
The next one here, we got 6 seeds. We'll start with the AFC here. The Dolphins, who were pretty much in the top 3 seed all season long.
Can't catch a cold hey, they can't catch nothing. They weren't catching anything. Brutal.
So the 6-seeded Dolphins, contender, pretender, they do play Kansas City at Arrowhead Stadium. Where are you on the Dolphins?
Man, to be honest, Jake, I was about to say both of them pretenders, bro. At this point, I'm kind of sick of them both. You know what I mean? Of course, I like the Ravens and the AFC. And then, to be honest, I like the Bills now. At first, I was like, oh, the Bills pretenders. Now, I think they, I know we haven't gotten to them yet, but I like the Bills a lot. And the Chiefs and the Dolphins, like, come on, bro. Like, what they say, you can't even buy a catch if it was free if you're the Chiefs. And the Dolphins, they played the Bills, and Tyreek was dropping stuff. Everybody and their mama was dropping a football that game. So, man, I think they're both pretenders, to be honest. But for the Dolphins specifically, for that game, I think they're going to come out on top on that one. So I'm going to say they're a real contender. I think they were pissed off. They needed that last game to get their butt whooped, and I think that's going to propel them in the playoffs. So I'm gonna say they're a contender for sure. I like Miami, but man, when we get to the Chiefs, I got some words for them too.
I'm with you. I'm definitely with you there. I think Miami is a pretender. Look, they haven't beaten anybody that's good. I mean, that's just full stop. Good teams, they don't beat. The one good team they beat, the Dallas Cowboys, they don't do well on the road. So
no.
I just don't. I just don't trust this team. I think a lot of Dolphins fans are now concerned about Tua. I know that run game is great. Yeah, I know that run game's great. I know they got the weapons, but and the offensive line is blocked well. But losing Chubb, losing Jalen Phillips, those are losses. Yeah. I mean, no matter what way you want to stretch it, having your 2 best pass rushers out, this is you need pass rushers.
That. Yeah.
So I'm going to say
playoffs?
Pretender.
Yeah. Oh, nice. Okay. Well done. I like that. Jake, I think too, you just talked about it. We talk about this a lot, Jake. I know you're probably tired of hearing me say this, but in the defense, you need anchors in the defense. You need to be able to stop the run. You can be able to, and then you be able to force the pass. And if you don't have those anchors, if you can't stop the run, in general, we saw the national championship game. We talked about this with Eric Dickerson. Michigan ran that football. If you can't stop the run, you're going to be like Washington, and you're going to be toast, and you're going to be planning your vacation in the playoffs if you can't stop the run. And I'm not sure if Miami will be able to do that. So I'm going to say contenders for this one because the Chiefs, like I said, I have a bone to pick with them, but I'm going to say contenders for this one.
You're saying contenders for the Dolphins?
Yeah, I'm saying contenders just for this one because they're playing the Chiefs, and so I just, No,
I mean for the Super Bowl. You're saying pretender?
No, I'm saying contender for the Super Bowl.
Okay, I'm saying pretender.
Okay.
I actually think they might lose to Kansas City, and that might be the only team Kansas City could beat. Anyway, we
Shots.
we move on to the 6th-seeded Los Angeles Rams. They take on Detroit. Obviously, the storylines speak for themselves and so forth. But look, I'm going to say this right now. Cam, I think the Rams are contenders. They've already been there, done that. Not all of them. Obviously, it's a little bit different roster, but a lot of the key pieces are still there from that Super Bowl team 2 years ago. And last year, they were ravaged by injuries. And this year, great coaching staff. Sean McVay, you could argue this is his best season as a head football coach that he's put together. I just think this team over the last 8 games since the bye week is just playing. They're on another level right now, Cam.
Yeah.
You know, offense is great. Defensive line is stopping the run. Now, there are some concerns I have about, obviously those lapses in coverage, special teams, which you alluded to, the kicking game. But overall, I mean, the Rams have the offensive firepower to match anybody, but they also have some defensive players like Aaron Donald, defensive rookie of the year, hopeful Kobe Turner, Ernest Jones, best blitzing linebacker in the league, and Akella Witherspoon at corner. I feel good about this team. If they can get past the 49ers, they can win it all. So I'm going to say they're contenders.
Yeah, I agree, Jake. We love the Rams near and dear to our heart, playing for the Rams as well, formerly. And so, they are contenders. Last year we were depressed, Jake, covering the Rams. We were depressed covering this team because they weren't winning. And now that they're winning, now that they made the playoffs, they went on a 7-game win streak, bro. Matthew Stafford, that storyline is insane. I know the NFLPA report cards came out. Raheem Morris is number 5 at the D coordinator spot. So you've been saying it all year, Jake. He is that guy. Raheem Morris is that guy. You've been talking about the bend don't break, and people shaming him. And you've been saying you've been getting his back, and so the players have too, which has been really cool to see. And I do like the Rams contending. No one wants to play the Rams right now. No one wants to play the Rams. No one wants to play the Bills. Anytime I get on some of these calls, Jake, for one of my other jobs, they're like, 49ers fans out here in LA, they are nervous. They're like, I do not want to play y'all. We might get the Christian McCaffrey and Brock Purdy, the MVP, and Brandon Ayuk, best receiver in the league, but they do not want to play the Rams. So I got them contending and kicking ass in the playoffs and kicking the Lions' ass in the playoffs too, by the way.
Ooh, okay. Yeah. I mean, I see it being a close game. I think the Rams do win that. Now, moving on to the 5 seeds, we'll stick with the NFC here. The Philadelphia Eagles could not have ended the last 8-game stretch of the season any worse.
Bruh.
They play Tampa, one of your former teams there.
Yeah.
Tampa has no consistency whatsoever. They're either really hot or they're really cold, and they sneak by with a 9-0 win over the Panthers. That was ugly.
Double, bruh.
But then you have the Eagles, and it's like they got absolutely decimated in a game where, I mean, look, the Cowboys the Cowboys were probably going to win against Commanders, right? They were probably going to hold on to the NFC East title. But Philadelphia was still playing for a chance to win the NFC East title, and they just looked horrible.
Basura. That's trash in Spanish.
No, I know. I got to tell you, the Eagles you can throw on. The Eagles right now you can run on. They're not as great of a run defense as they were at the beginning of the season. To start the season, 10-1, and to only win like 1 game the rest of the year, I just don't trust this team. I got to tell you.
Both.
I think you got to show, the Rams won 7 of the last 8. That's why they're a contender for me. Yeah. You have to at least have some sort of grace going into the playoffs. And right now, there's nothing to really feel great about the Eagles aside from the fact they were there last year in the Super Bowl. But this team doesn't have the same coaching staff. No. They lost Steichen to the Colts, who barely missed the playoffs in a year where they lost their starting quarterback, and they lost Gannon to the Cardinals, who went into Philly and embarrassed them.
Yeah.
So
winning your trap
running
your trap and take your trap. That's the Cardinals did that for the Eagles. And if you're a former champion, you can't let that happen. And to be fair, my family is from Philly, in that area. And they're like, hey, Cam, you have the podcast. We need some Eagles folks to hop on and share their thoughts. Let me know. I'm like, okay, cool. And so I'm talking with them and I'm like, hey, they're like, hey, why are we doing well? I'm like, well, you got two rookie offensive coordinator and a rookie defensive coordinator. Jake, we talk about this all the time about the Eagles. It's hard to win when there's different chefs in the kitchen, and so you can't get the same result, the same meal, because you have different ingredients, you have different chefs in the kitchen. So the Eagles, pretender for me.
I agree. Fifth seeded Cleveland Browns against, well, they start off their hopeful playoff run against Houston on the road. Kind of silly there because the Browns played well enough to win a division. They just happened to be in the Ravens division.
Sorry.
But look, the way the Browns are playing, defense is tough. Flacco looks better than Deshaun Watson ever did. No Nick Chubb, right? They lost him early on in the year. They lost a bunch of other guys, but they've continued to just plow through. And where are you on them? Because I'm going to say they're a contender.
Yeah, bro. I'm doubling down with you, Jake. They're contenders all the way, bro. I mean, you just talk about what they've done. I mean, to be honest, for me, Jake, I thought they were pretenders at the beginning of the year. I was like, okay, they're winning games. Like different quarterbacks are still winning games though. But then once their quarterbacks got hurt, I was like, oh, it's done. Call it a day. Buckle it up. They're not going to the playoffs. I would have lost some money, Jake, to be honest, if that was the case. But what they're putting together, outstanding. They have some head coach of the year, candidates. Myles Garrett playing the best football I think he's played. I think he's like 14 sacks or something like that. And he's not leading in the sack category, but I think the way he's gotten his sacks have been next level. The Browns, I mean, Njoku, Jake, I think we talked about this. His growth as a tight end from start to now has been superb. And so I like the Browns. They're a full contender. That defense is tough, even though they came to the Rams and got whooped on. I like the Browns as a contender in the playoff for sure.
Yeah, I do too. Who would have thought the Browns would be able to sit their starters last week? I mean, that was kind of crazy. But, you think about it, and it's like they were without Amari Cooper down the stretch, and they blew the doors off of the Jets. And, here's my thing. Okay, I look at them, and I see guys like Amari Cooper and Elijah Moore and Njoku. And it's like everyone wants to talk about Myles Garrett and Denzel Ward, and I get that. But, when you have guys like – Grant Delpit, the safety that they got from LSU, who's really playing well, and that's why he got paid. And you have a corner that needs name recognition. Martin Emerson, the guy is allowing fewer than 50% of his throws, targets completed. And I think his targeted passer rating is below 55. Like, he's having an incredible season. And so when you have guys like that doing what they're doing, Joe Flacco playing the way he is in the running game. I mean, Jerome Ford doesn't get enough credit. Kareem Hunt you got there. You also got Pierce Strong. I like the weapons. I like the offensive line. I like the Browns.
Can we take a breath on Joe Flacco real quick? The fact that he was playing against DeMeco Ryans when DeMeco was an athlete, now DeMeco is the head coach, and Joe Flacco is about to serve him up twice when he was playing, and then also as a coach. I think the Browns are going to run away with this one. CJ Stroud is a rookie quarterback, and so I think he's going to have his hands full with the Browns. That team is looking special. Even their special teams, Jake, what is it? Matthew Otta, he's one of their special teams aces, a high PFF grade for him too. So I think they're going to be clicking on all cylinders, and I think they're going to make it tough for the Houston Texans to get out of the playoffs for the first time.
Man, the script writers were lighting just straight fire. You got the Tyreek Hill comeback. You got the Deshaun Watson trade partner bowl. You got Stafford Goff bowl. I mean, man, the McCarthy bowl with the Packers and Cowboys. I'm just realizing it right now. Like,
you just talked about it, the Texans and the Browns. I'm like, oh damn, okay, it's juicy. It's juicy, my boy.
Yeah, it is funny. But moving on to the 4 seeds here, because we both had the Browns as a contender. The Texans, contender or pretender?
Yeah, pretender, because you have a rookie quarterback. I don't think he's going to be able to get them through. Now, Jake, if he gets them through now, I think we're talking about a whole other beast, right? The first rookie quarterback to make the playoffs in a long time. What they say, mama, there goes that man again, like CJ Stroud. It's really cool to see him take over the NFL, really, right? I think he's well beyond his years. He talks about the staff that's at the Texans. He talks about, we want y'all to wear the jerseys and be proud. You know, he's talking about things that I think go above the head of some rookie quarterbacks. You know, it's like he's been there for a long time. So I think we have somebody special in CJ Stroud that just, I don't think they'll be able to make it past the Brownies, because the Brownies aren't playing games, Jake. So, but the Texans, though, I think you talk about comeback team of the year, or a team that's been down in the dumps and now, you know, skyrocketing. I give that award to them, but I think they're going to be in Mexico after this game, enjoying their vacation, because they won't make it past this first round, I don't think.
Man, if they had Tank Dell, I might actually say contender. I don't love their run game either. I know Singletary has his moments and Damian Pierce has had a few games this year, but I don't love their run game. I think Stroud has to do too much on his own. And when you're going up against this Browns defense, I understand he's at home, but the Browns aren't just a team that just defends well at home. I mean, they could also play well on the road too. If the Texans get by the Browns, though, they could match up with anybody. But I don't love their secondary. I don't know. I really like their linebacker, Blake Cashman. He needs to be talked about more. But I'm gonna say they're pretenders. I'll let them surprise me. I'm not gonna, you know what I mean? Like, D'Amico has done such a great job, and so has CJ Stroud. Next year, with a healthy Tank Dell, and maybe they go out and draft one of these running backs, or they sign one of them. You know, imagine putting Josh Jacobs in that backfield, somebody like that.
Derrick Henry.
Derrick Henry. I was just thinking that. You know, that might be different, but I'm gonna feel confident sticking behind pretender here for the Texans. This tough one, buddy. This is your former team, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, contender, pretender. They got the Philadelphia Eagles this week.
Oh, yeah, contender all the way, bro. I mean, Baker's baking. I think you heard Shannon Sharp go on the field. He was talking about Jameis Winston and, you know, how Jameis couldn't really get it done with the Buccaneers, and Baker Mayfield is. Tom Brady had a chance to. So I think they are contenders. Well, I know they are. I know they are, man, because, you know, me playing there, we were pretenders for a long time, Jake, and you know, really after they won the Super Bowl, I was like, wait, did we have the right stuff, right? Were we just one person away, one greatest player in the sport, Tom Brady, away from winning the Super Bowl? So I think the Buccaneers in Tampa, they have some good content. They got some good gumbo out there, bro. So no matter who the quarterback is, I don't say no matter, because James couldn't get it done, but I think they're contenders for sure.
I do not at all. I think they're big time pretenders. The reason I say this is because I wanted to believe that. I do like the Baker story. I like that. I've been watching Rachaad White over the last few weeks. He's really emerged. You know, we kind of said before the season they should probably trade for a running back. But Rachaad White has started to play really at a high level. You got Mike Evans. You got Chris Godwin. Offense line's pretty good. Defense is solid. My concern is that after the Packers game, I was expecting them to go on a run. I was expecting them to be a problem, finish with 10 wins at the very least. I didn't like the way they finished the season, and I'm all about how you finish the season. I could see them winning this game against Philly, but what I keep saying to people is this game doesn't matter, because whoever wins this game does not win the next game. So for me, if Tampa was playing the Rams, that's a 2-score game. For me, if Tampa's playing, you know, I mean, I'll be honest with you. If they're playing the 49ers, that's maybe a 3-score game. Dallas, I don't think matches up that well with them. You know, the Lions, I think, would give them fits. And I think the Packers would want revenge and, you know, play a tough game against them. So I don't know. I just didn't like the way they finished the season. That Saints game was very telling to me. And to be honest with you, I think the Saints were the better team at the end of the year. They're playing as hot as anybody. So to see their season end, that's just the way the NFL is. But, you know, I was surprised. I didn't think the Saints were going to finish the season that hot. But I just crumbles. I got Philly winning this one.
You got Philly winning. Okay.
I do. I think that's the only game that they snatch. But, you know, if Tampa can get back on that run that they were on and, you know, show some consistency, I mean, they have the pieces there. But when it comes to like head coaches, like I don't feel like Todd Bowles is one of those top guys that's going to, you know, this isn't Arians. So I don't really trust them in the playoffs, if I'm being honest. I'm going to say pretender.
Yeah, no, that's fair. They did clinch the division 3 times in a row, thanks to Tom Brady, and carry that momentum with the new head coach Todd Bowles. I know at first we were like, "Hey, is he on the hot seat? What does this look like?" Because they weren't doing too well in the beginning, and then they started winning. So I think, like I said, at the end of the day, I think Tampa has the proper ingredients. I think that front office, the players, I think they have the right ingredients. So Todd Bowles, being a minority coach, when there's not many of them in the NFL, I think people give him a lot of heat. They expect him to do really well at the very beginning, and he did. So that's why, man, I'm saying they're contenders, bro. I think they're going to rock out. They're going to figure this thing out. Baker Mayfield, that's the person that I'm not sure about, right? Because last year he was at the Rams. He played a little bit deep. He has flashes. He did well. He didn't do well. So that's the one person I am concerned about. Todd Bowles, not necessarily, because he's a champion. So Baker Mayfield isn't, and when it comes to the playoffs and NFL championship. So that's the person I think I have the biggest qualms about there.
I got you.
Yeah.
So 3rd seed, Detroit Lions. Now, my thing here is I think they're going to lose to the Rams.
Agreed.
Right? But I still think that they could potentially contend. My issue is I'm going to say they're pretenders here, and here's why.
Mm-hmm.
I had this team as the number 1 seed coming in the year. I was really high on them. I don't feel like they're as good as I expected. The defense didn't take the step that I expected. The run game's better, and they're going to have a Liam McNeil, and that's going to be huge in the trenches. But that secondary has too much talent, like name talent, to be this poor. They're giving up almost 1,000 yards in 2 games to Nick Mullins. I mean,
that's unacceptable.
I don't need to say anything else there, but no, I look at the Lions and I'm like, what makes a contender? Because to me, I'm looking at, the NFC and I'm like, Green Bay, I kind of want to say is a contender, but I decided to go with pretender, right? Because that defense. The Rams are a contender. They've shown that they've closed the gap. They can match up with the 49ers, keep it a game. The Eagles, I don't trust where they are right now. The Bucks, I think the 49ers win by 3 touchdowns. This Lions team, against that defensive front that the 49ers have, I just can't trust Jared Goff if they get past the Rams. So I'm going to say that the Lions are a pretender, a good one, probably a higher tier pretender.
Yeah.
But I'm going to say that's how it is. I don't think there are many teams that can beat the 49ers, but I also I'm just going to stick by that. I think the Lions are pretenders, and that's the way it's going to be.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. They're pretenders. I mean, like I said, we like the Rams, so we want the Rams to win this one, right? A lot of the Rams staff went over to the Lions, vice versa. Jared Goff, Matthew Stafford storylines are insane. I think they're pretenders, though, like you mentioned, Jake. Dan Campbell's been crushing it this year. But if you have your starters playing Week 18 versus the Vikings when their starters are playing to win the division, and you let up 396 yards, Jake, you just mentioned that. Like, bro, Nick Mullins fam versus the Vikings fam, and you're going to play the Rams and expect to ball out if you're giving up 396 versus Matthew Stafford? I don't think so. You're a pretender to me, buddy, and I think the Lions are going to get toasted this game. You talked about the defensive backs. Unfortunately, we have a Syracuse alumni back there as well, and
hey, he's playing well. Afadi Melifonwu.
Yeah, he's playing well. I just think he's gonna have a long day. He's gonna have a long day. He's gonna hit that Twitter fam like, "Hey, y'all made it to the playoffs," but tear because we got bombed all game. So yeah, I think that'll be the storyline for this game versus the Lions.
Oh my God! All right, let's move on. The 3rd seed in the AFC, Kansas City Chiefs. They host the Miami Dolphins. I feel pretty confident they're going to win this game, but they have nobody aside from Rashee Rice and Travis Kelce to throw to. And I just don't like this Chiefs team. I don't enjoy watching them play. I think their defense is solid, but this is just a team that feels, I mean, honestly, this kind of feels like a Chiefs team that would go on a run because they have no business doing so. But I'm going to say they're big time pretenders here. I just think, you can only masquerade as a top team for so long. And that's what they've been doing. I think the Lions game, we all saw that Week 1 game when the Lions beat the Chiefs to start the season.
Yeah.
And we immediately piled on the Lions.
Yeah.
And what we found out is that the Lions are very good, but they're not an elite football team. They have issues. Sorry, over the last 8 games, giving up over 2,000 yards, passing. I mean, that's not acceptable. That's not what elite teams do. So I'm looking at the Chiefs and I'm thinking, I mean, I don't think Mahomes has played that great this year. He's had drops, but I mean, he's been solid at times, but I just don't think the Chiefs, I mean, again, you hear Kansas City Chiefs and you think, okay, that was the closest thing to the new Patriots dynasty. Maybe it's not. We'll see, we'll find out, but maybe it's not. I have them as contenders, or as pretenders, excuse me, this time around. I do think they beat Miami. They already beat Miami, and Miami doesn't beat good teams. I think the Chiefs are a good team. They're not a great team. And they're a good team that is the Super Bowl defending champions, so they get bumped up to a great team by a lot of people. And this will be considered a shock when they lose. But, I mean, really, they don't even deserve to be the 3 seed if you really watch their games at the end of the year.
Bro, Kansas City pretender all the way, bro. Just like the Eagles, both of them former champions. Said we get it. They have new chefs in the kitchen, bro. The offensive coordinator's gone, Eric Bieniemy's gone, so it's a different team. And I might have mentioned it before, but bro, if a catch was free, the Chiefs couldn't buy one. They could not because it's bad, bro. It's really, really bad. And we talk about the Dolphins not being able to catch the football either. Both of them are pretenders. So I mean, if they end up in a tie and both go home, I'd be happy because these fools are just it's unacceptable. And I don't, depending on what happens after this game, they won't make it past the second one. I'm just gonna call it now because, man, it's been a little frustrating. I ain't gonna lie, Jake. Watching both of these teams play and beginning of the year, high hopes, let's go ball out, and then you get to the season, you got Patrick Mahomes coming outside of his character, and that's not what Patrick Mahomes normally does. And so to see that was a little concerning, and I don't know if they'll be able to make it far in the playoffs. And back to the Eagles, with AJ Brown and Jalen Hurts arguing, they were outside of their character. And I think a lot of times when you see that, it's not a good recipe in the playoffs. So I got them both being pretenders for sure.
So upcoming here, we got the 2 seeds. We'll stick with the AFC, the Buffalo Bills. I got to be honest with you. I think the Bills are one of the scariest freaking teams. They're surging at the right time. They've won 6 of the last 8. I look at this team and I think at one point it's funny because we were like, man, this is a 5-5 or 6-6 team. And you're like, I don't even know if this team's going to make the playoffs. And they made a decision that's not easy. Anytime you fire an offensive or defensive coordinator mid-season. And I think a lot of people nowadays with social media always want to go towards the, I mean, not everybody, but I think a lot of people want to go towards the controversial opinion of, I think he was a scapegoat. It is a conspiracy. And it's like, no, he was the problem. And they brought in Joe Brady. They promoted Joe Brady from within. And he's the guy that was there when Joe Burrow was killing it at LSU, who he had never done that before. Joe Brady is an offensive football mind, a really good one at that. And now they're starting to marriage the run and the pass. You start to see it more. They run the ball more. James Cook, who's one of the best running backs in football. I think Stephon Diggs probably isn't a big fan of the way that the direction of this offense has gone in.
Yeah.
But it's been a lot of, Dalton Kincaid. It's been a lot of Josh Allen being able to be Josh Allen. Offensive line, obviously great offensive line coach in Aaron Cromer. Defense is starting to play well. I think the Bills are surging at the right time. I think they're the most dangerous team to the Ravens.
Yeah.
And so I have them as a contender.
I agree, Jake. I'm right there with you. I think you might have had the Bills or you had the Bengals in the beginning of the season to go to the Super Bowl. It was one of the two. And at the beginning, I think you mentioned it. I was like, I don't know about that, seeing Stephon. And then, of course, now they're like, hey, we're back, baby. Right? You talk about the Buccaneers having that proper gumbo, that proper, meal at those facilities. I think they do as well at the Bills. No matter who they bring in or bring out, they have it there. You talked about changing coaches midseason, changing a chef, right? It's like, this example for people, it's like if your mom is always cooking the meals in the house and then dad has to now cook the meals, or little brother or big sister, then it's like, damn, dog, I don't want to eat today. I'd rather go eat a Hot Pocket or something like that. So having a different chef in the kitchen can be very, very complicated. And so the fact that they figured that out and were successful, I think that's really important. So they're the boogeyman right now. Like you said, second to the Ravens, they are the boogeyman in the AFC, and I think the Rams are the boogeyman in the NFC, or boogie woman, boogeyman, however the heck you want to drum it up. But I think they're dangerous. And the Bills, I saw Stephon Diggs talking to Josh Allen. You know, they were really engaged on the sideline. They were talking to each other. They were hyping each other up. And so after that, I was like, okay, like these guys are. Diggs may not leave after this because Josh Allen is throwing him the football. So, hey, I think these guys are going to make a run at the playoffs for sure.
I'm going to say this upcoming one, we'll go to the NFC now, the second seed. The Dallas Cowboys, they're taking on the Green Bay Packers. I'm going to say that they are pretenders.
Yeah,
and here's why. Okay. I think they could potentially win it all. But it would have to, first off, the 49ers have to get eliminated because that team is not winning in San Francisco.
No.
That is their only pathway. This team does not have a good road record. They're 4-5 on the road. Also, we start to see, the facade, like the cracks, so to speak, are starting to show. You saw them almost lose to Seattle. Seattle in Dallas. Dallas, you can't beat them, right? They're undefeated. Seattle put them to the limit. Then you have the Lions. We literally watched the Lions win that game, and they said, nope, just kidding. They didn't. I got to be honest with you. I think the Cowboys have a head coach that knows how to win, a Super Bowl, Mike McCarthy.
Yeah.
But as great as Dak has been, I still am more of like, I'll wait and see. Yeah. I have not seen him play super well in the playoffs. CeeDee Lamb is the, he's the truth. But I think it really comes down to defense is great. Dak is playing great football. Mike McCarthy, obviously, he has that experience. But when I watch the run game, it's not what we were expecting. Tony Pollard was great last year. I'm not really seeing that. So yeah. I kind of feel like Green Bay is going to go into Dallas and win. And I just can't really trust Dallas. So I'm going to have them as pretenders.
Yeah, I got them. Big pretenders. Anybody that's a Cowboys fan, right? They always say, yeah, they make it to the playoffs or they make it close. We all have all these hopes, and then once it gets to when it matters, they don't come through. So how about them boys? I get it, but I don't think they're gonna be able to get it done this time. Dak Prescott, though, I think we'll just put a pin in that one. He's having a heck of a year. Shout out to him. No matter how this team does, he, what they say, arguably is playing better than any quarterback in the NFL outside of our guy Lamar Jackson. So shout out to Dak, but that team, though, I do think losing the Diggs brother very, very early on, I think probably changed the dynamic that they had, that energy on defense. So Michael Parsons is a dog, right? We talked to Eric Dickerson the other day about LT and just that comparison, and Michael Parsons is confirmed his skill set is like that. I just don't think that he'll be able to get it done this weekend. I know, to take that back. They'll get it done this week against the Packers. I just don't think after that, I don't think they'll be able to get it done after that. They'll be at home. They'll be in Jerry World. They'll be super loud, one of the loudest stadiums I've been in. I just don't think after this game, they'll be able to get it done. So pretenders.
And then the San Francisco 49ers, sticking with the NFC here, the 1 seed, then we'll go on to the Ravens. To me, the 49ers are contenders. This is why they went out and got Chase Young. This is why they went out and got Randy Gregory. They stuck by Brock Purdy. Not everyone thought they should do that coming off that major injury. He's had his best season. He's had one of the best seasons like we've seen, from a 49ers quarterback, we'll say, because Garoppolo wasn't doing this. Purdy has been really good for them. And then you have, what people call the Avengers when you have Christian McCaffrey and you have Deebo Samuel and you have Brandon Ayuk and George Kittle. Obviously Trent Williams you could put in there because he is just about as important as anybody at that left tackle spot. I will say there are some concerns about that offensive line outside of Trent Williams. I watched Bobby Brown and the Rams push around that starting center and put him on his ass.
Put hands on him. Yes, sir.
Like, I do think that is a little bit of a concern, but the defense, you can throw on them, but that pass rush is going to get to most offensive lines over the course of a game, especially a playoff game, riding the momentum of the fans. They are going to have home field advantage throughout the playoffs. 49ers are definitely contenders. I'll say this. I think there are only two contenders in the NFC. Having said that, I think it's, the Rams. I think it's the 49ers. The 49ers, obviously the bigger contender. They have the better team, but I think the Rams have closed the gap considerably on the 49ers over the course of the year. And I think it's about who's playing the best football when it comes to late in January. And, the Rams are hot. The 49ers are hot. The Cowboys are hot, to be fair. But I just don't know if I could trust that. So I'm going to take the 49ers as contender and the Rams contender to wrap up the NFC.
Yes, contenders, 49ers, big contenders, MVP candidates, most of them. You're talking about the Avengers on the offense. Outstanding Mike Shanahan, fantabulous job. I mean, fantastic job.
And Kyle Shanahan.
Sorry, Kyle Shanahan, fantabulous. I'm going to say again, fantabulous job there. They're crushing it. The 49ers are. To see what Christian McCaffrey has done, bro, it's amazing. Just playing against him when he played with the Panthers, just to see his growth, it's just kind of crazy to see, bro. So really great job by him. Brock Purdy as well. Brandon Ayuk, I mean, to be the number one receiver, I would say in the NFC, because CeeDee Lamb is definitely doing his thing, Puka Nacua as well. But to be up there, bro, that's next level. I'm really happy for him, and I do hope next year either he gets paid the big bag or he goes and gets the big bag somewhere else. So we'll see. That's on them. I know they have some when it comes to their cap space, everything like that, they have some things to work out. But really, really happy for them. And to be honest, Jake, they are contenders. And also, too, they do face the Rams. The Rams beat them last game of the season. I know they sat their starters, blah, blah, blah. But a win is a win is a win. They won by 1 point. And that's all that matters. And that's what the Rams players are going to remember. Hey, we won we beat them the last game. We sat our starters, but we still won. And we're going to be in the playoffs, too. And so, like you said, I can see the Rams going to Super Bowl, bro, at this point. Now that they're in, they can go. And so the 49ers also can get beat. You talked about that offensive line. Brock Purdy, last playoffs, he got hurt. And so the offensive line is thinking about that. They're like, dog, we got to lock in, because if not, our guy's going to get hurt and we're going to be out the playoffs again. And Christian McCaffrey's going to say, I hope both teams lose in the Super Bowl again. And they don't want that. So they're going to have to lock in for sure this playoffs for sure. This next week, not this week.
Yeah, well, speaking of a team that also gave him fits, the Baltimore Ravens, they're the last team we're going to talk about here. To me, they are the best team in the National Football League. They are contenders. You look from top to bottom, you got Lamar Jackson, you got the run game with Gus Edwards, and, I know they added some other guys. Justice Hill isn't half bad. I know the loss of Keaton Mitchell is annoying, and it's big. I mean, you have a guy that's that explosive, but they found other ways to make things happen. Mark Andrews will likely be back at some point. Isaiah Likely's playing well in his steed. You talk about Bateman now. He's starting to play well. Odell is starting to get things underneath. Yeah. I mean, as the season goes on, Odell is going to get more and more in the groove. So I think that's something to keep in mind. Zay Flowers is incredible with the ball in his hands. Offensive line's really good. And then you look at the defense, and no one can run against the Ravens defense outside, looks like the Rams. That secondary is really good. You got pieces like that. I think the focal point, the thing that you really have to pay attention to when it comes to the Ravens, there's two guys, actually three guys, I'll say. Madubuike on the defense, who can just ruin your day. In a contract year, having one of the best seasons of any of the interior defensive linemen in football. The next one, I would say, is Kyle Hamilton. Probably the most important player on the defense, because he's like essentially their Where's Waldo guy. He can cover anybody, any given time. He gave Brock Purdy fits. He had 2 interceptions. He is disrupting one of the best. And then Roquan Smith. You have a guy that can blitz the quarterback. You have a guy that can win as, just a sideline guy. I mean, obviously Devin White in Tampa is one of those guys. Levante David in Tampa is one of those guys. So that. But Roquan is really good. So I think just across the board, also not even including the best kicker in the game, maybe ever, in Justin Tucker. I mean, that's a weapon, man, because now you don't have to worry. Like, it's a gamble if you go for on fourth down. It's a gamble for any other kicker in the league to kick a field goal, no matter how far. When you put Justin Tucker out there for a 50-yarder, you're expecting 3 points already on the board.
Yeah. When you cross the 50, you're getting points. That's crazy.
Yeah, and that makes them really dangerous. They also have Stout, Jordan Stout, the punter, who's really good. So their special teams unit is really good. Obviously, we saw that in the Rams game. Tylan Wallace returning that for a touchdown to win the game in OT. But this team just top to bottom, all three phases, and then of course John Harbaugh with his his background in special teams isn't going to let their special teams be bad. So
no,
Ravens are the most surefire contender, and Lamar Jackson, I think people are going to get caught up. Oh, he didn't play well, when he's been in the playoffs. This is different. Lamar is starting to really play the quarterback position. He's not running as much, and when he runs, it's to open up opportunities with his arm. I've been so impressed with the maturation of Lamar Jackson, and I'm not one of those people that ever felt like he couldn't play pocket quarterback. I've always said he could. I think his biggest issue is that he was a running quarterback, like in a pocket quarterback's body. I think his issue has always been, how does he play outside of the pocket? How does he play when he's throwing on the run? It's actually kind of different because you think of a Michael Vick and a Donovan McNabb and guys like that, they're great throwing on the run. But Lamar has really shored up his game where he doesn't have many weaknesses. And so, yeah, Ravens contenders.
Ravens, bro. I got them in the Super Bowl, Jake.
Just straight up.
I think we talked about this, the beginning of the year. I said Lions and Ravens were my choice, and I got them in the Super Bowl, bro. I mean, they're leading in every category on defense. We talked about at the top of the show, Jake. We said when the playoffs come, you pack your defense, you pack your special teams, and they pack both of those things. Their defense, a couple numbers here. First in the NFL, 60 sacks. 17 points per game was first, 16.5 points allowed per game, and then 31 takeaways. That's first in the NFL. Like, bro, is Ray Lewis playing for that team again? Is Ed Reed, like, what's going on over there? And that's just dangerous, brother. That's just dangerous. Special teams, you talk about a guy, Tucker. I mean, you pass that 40-yard line and you're getting 3 points regardless. And that's brutal. That's brutal. Another team to know, man, we work so hard and we can't even keep points off the board because he got the best kicker ever. So that's a big deal. And Jake, we saw it firsthand, the Rams versus the Ravens. Rams had them locked in until overtime. And the only reason why the Rams lost is because the Ravens take special teams super serious. And I do know that we just talked about special teams, defense. You got to have those. And so the Ravens are looking really good right now. Lamar Jackson looking like the MVP. The defense, they got two Pro Bowls at the linebacker position. I mean, these guys are cooking with grease. And so I like to see them in the playoffs go pretty far and win that Super Bowl on my end.
Yeah, I'll say this. Since 2015, history says one of these teams are going to win it all. You ready for the list? It is the top 8 because it's basically team offense. So points scored. These are the top 8 scoring offenses in the National Football League. And since 2015, every single Super Bowl winning team has been in the top 10. So Dallas Cowboys are number 1. Dolphins are number 2. The 49ers are 3. Ravens are 4. Lions 5. Bills 6. Eagles 7. Rams 8. The Browns did not make the top 10. I still like them as a potential contender. So, I mean, I think you can kind of eliminate Miami and Philly, if I'm being honest. I don't see them winning the Super Bowl. So at that point, it leaves 6 teams. The Cowboys, 49ers, Ravens, Lions, Bills, and Rams. And out of those 6 teams, who do you really feel confident about winning the Super Bowl? And I would say the 49ers, the Ravens, the Bills, and the Rams.
Yeah, I agree.
So
I'm stamping that one with you, Jake. I'm the same with you. I like those teams to win it out, and I want to see them towards the back end of these playoffs. And Jake, I know the chat's jumping right now, but one thing you never know, bro. In the playoffs, someone said Ravens could easily shock and shook by the Browns. Like that's definitely hopeism, but it's definitely possible. And the college football playoffs.
Imagine Joe Flacco eliminating the Ravens.
That storyline for that ass, that'd be excellent. You think about like the college football playoffs as well. That's going to change. And that's going to get more exciting. And anything can happen. And I'm super excited, man. This is going to be good ball. And like I said, I hope the Ravens take it all away. I hope the Ravens and I hope the Lions, we see them in the Super Bowl. And go from there. Rams as well. But like I said, go back to my original thought. Hopefully I have the globe there. Camstradamus, and that the Lions and the Ravens are in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I think really what it comes down to, because I think we have the same contenders and pretenders, although you had Miami, but yeah. I have, out of those, I had the 49ers in the NFC and I had the Rams. That's it. Mm-hmm. Could see the Lions potentially, could see the Cowboys potentially, but the ones I feel confident, Rams, 49ers.
Yep.
AFC, the Ravens, the Bills, the Browns. That's it. I don't feel confident about the Chiefs. I don't feel confident about the Texans. I don't feel confident about the Dolphins. And I definitely do not feel confident about the Steelers. I'm glad they made it. They, could be a fun game. Bills, they better be careful in that one. Last time the Bills played in the snow, they lost. Joe Burrow went into Buffalo and beat them. So we'll see what happens. But that's how I see it. That's how you see it. That's going to do it. Yeah. A lot of fun. Glad we went over it. And, man, can't wait to watch this whole thing unfold.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. And, man, hey, I said the Lions being there. That's kind of like the crystal ball thing. If I were to bet money, like you said, I'm agreeing with you, 49ers and the Rams. But if I had a crystal ball and like hopeism, the Lions and the Ravens would be in it. So it's gonna be a good show out.
Yeah, and there's a chance we get the same 2021 divisional round. The Rams go to Tampa, and the Packers end up playing the 49ers. So that's kind of what I see happening. And keep in mind, if the Rams do win, and the 49ers somehow lose to the Packers in that scenario, the Rams would host the NFC title game. And the last time they did that, they went to the Super Bowl and won it at SoFi Stadium. Obviously, the Super Bowl would be played in Vegas, but still, you get the point. That's going to do it. So appreciate Bleach Report, as always, for having us. If you like us, you can be sure to follow us on the app at JK Bogan, at Cameron Lynch 50. You can follow us on all social media there as well. We'll see you guys in the next one. You guys take care and enjoy the playoffs.
Peace.